Hello, hello, hello. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to our Queenology Book Club discussion on this Sunday afternoon. Hope everybody is doing well. Give me a shout out. Let me know where you're tuning in from in the comments. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, welcome. Hey, everybody. Hey, Miss Sabrina. Thank you so much for joining. Welcome, welcome. Hey, everybody. Give me a shout out in the comments. Let me know where you came, where you're chiming in from today. Thank you so very much for joining. It's a wonderful Sunday afternoon. I hope everybody is doing well. I'm super excited about our topic today. Have some juiciness to talk about. So hit the share button. Invite somebody else to be in on this conversation with you all today. So hit the share button. Remember, you can also see us on YouTube. If you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you can chime in there as well. Make sure you hit the share button. Invite some other people on this afternoon. Hey, Tamika. Thank you so very much for joining. Welcome, welcome. Everybody remember to give a shout out as you come in. Hey, tuning in from good old Stockbridge, Georgia. That's right. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you hit the share button. Let's get some more sisters. And we have some men that's been watching too, that's been on with us. So make sure you hit the share button and invite somebody else to come in with us today. Watching from Ellaville, Georgia. That's my granny. Thank you so very much for chiming in. We got Florida, Georgia, and so far in the house. Any other state watching us currently? Make sure you give us a shout out. I know a lot of people chime in later on, but we are so excited about you being here today. Thank you so very much for joining. For those of you who just tuning in, the book that we are currently covering is called Queenology. It's by Mr. R.C. Blake. This is what the book looks like. It's called Queenology, A Queen Inside of You. So this is the lovely book that we have been covering. It also comes with a really, really good study guide. So for those of you who have not gotten the book, it's never too late to get the book. It's a wonderful book. You want to keep this in your repertoire because this will give you the opportunity. Hey, Miss Annie Lassiter, thank you so much for joining. Welcome, welcome, ladies. This is just taking a few minutes to let everybody jump on. Please hit the share button. There's another lady that's going to want to hear what we're going to be talking about tonight. So make sure you hit the share button. Invite some people to come on. Like I mentioned, we have also started archiving the videos on the YouTube channel. In order to find me on YouTube, you're just going to type in my name, Cassandra Haynes, and you're going to see Queen Cassandra Haynes show up. I'm in a blue and white dress. That is the right YouTube channel. There are a couple of Cassandra Hayneses out there, but only one Queen Cassandra Haynes. So make sure that you hit the share button. And that if you want to go back and listen to it on YouTube throughout the week, you're more than welcome to do so. Just find me. It's under Cassandra Haynes. Okay, you'll see my name when you type my name into the YouTube search bar. And so we have all of the Queenology videos uploaded and a few from the Women That Pray book. Unfortunately, we were not able to get the digital downloads from those. I waited a little too late to download them to YouTube, so they were not available to be converted just yet, but we're working on it. So we will continue to get the Women That Pray series uploaded, but for now we are streaming live on YouTube with the Queenology book. Okay, Queenology is the name of the book. All right, so thank you all for joining. Hey, if you're just now coming on, if you're showing up as Facebook user, do me a favor, go to the top of the post where you joined in at and click give StreamYard permission to see my comments. If you do that, then that will give you the opportunity to show your beautiful face and your Facebook picture, and it'll give us a chance to see who you are. Okay. Hey, Mr. Banks, thank you so very much for joining. Hey, everybody. Again, make sure you hit the share button. Invite some other people on to this discussion today, because I promise you, you do not want to miss what we have to say today. I'm going to encourage you as we get started to be present for the moment, which simply means take the opportunity to get in a good, quiet place. Make sure that you are in a place where you can focus. You can hear what God is saying. You could talk and engage in this book club. And this is just not about me talking. I want you guys to get in the comments, Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know how you feel. A lot of things that I'm going to be sharing are directly from the book. Some of it is, of course, added to and inspired by God. So as we get into this discussion today, we want to make sure that you have the opportunity to let me see your comments, okay? So I remind you to be present for the moment. Also, for those of you that are on that are females, being a woman does not affect your direct communication with God. And we know that through this Queenology journey, we have determined that just because we are females does not mean we do not have a right to the throne of grace, and we do not have access directly to our Savior and our Lord, that He is there for us. Amen. And then we also always go through what's a queen. A queen is a woman possessing ultimate presence, excellent character, and empowered by a no-nonsense approach to life, love, and business. So as we go throughout the principles today, we're going to be talking about possessing that presence, having that excellent character, and being empowered and having a no-nonsense approach to life, which we know we all need that. And lastly, two more things is our definition of Queenology. Since we're going through the book and the title is Queenology, the definition according to the author is that Queenology is the process of reprogramming your consciousness to a different standard, which means we're changing up. If they say if you do the same thing, you're gonna always get the same thing. So we're gonna make sure that we are not continuing the cycle and repeating things that are not good for us, but we are exploring this concept of Queenology and becoming queen conscious and what that means to us as ladies. Again, if you're typing in hello ladies, I'm not sure who your comment is, make sure you go to the top of the post where you logged in at, and there's a little link that you can click there to give StreamYard permission, and that's going to give you the option to be able to be visible here on this broadcast. So make sure you do that for me. All right. So we are getting ready to get started. I am so excited. I hope you are, because we have some goodness to talk about today. First, our theme scripture comes from Proverbs 25 and 28, where it says, "She who has no rule over her own spirit," and we know this applies to men as well, because we do have some men subscribers that's been going on the journey with us, that if you don't have rule over your own spirit, you are like a city that's been broken into, rioted, and left without walls. Think about that. You've been broken into, rioted, and left without walls, which means what? You have no boundaries. You have no rule over your own life. You're like a city that's just been rioted, left. There's no security. You are just left in a mess. Okay. But we know that as we go throughout this Queenology journey, that God is revealing to us through this book how to become the queen that we want to be. So, hey, everybody, thank you so much for joining. Thank you all so much for coming in. Make sure you hit the share button and invite some other people as we get into this topic. Today, we're going to be talking about chapter number 5 in the book. This is episode number 7. If you're wondering, we are on chapter number 5. And the book today, the subject is Queens Eliminate Insecurity and Negativity. Can we just say that one more time? That queens, what do? We eliminate. We don't foster it, we don't feed it, but we eliminate insecurity and negativity. All right. So today our talk, ladies, is going to be about what is insecurity, how did it enter into your life, and then most of all, how do we get rid of it, how do we attack it, and what are some skills and things that we need to do in order to be able to keep the negativity and insecurity out of our lives. And this is going to get kind of real and raw today. So if you have kids watching, I will give you a disclaimer, but there's a small piece of this insecurity discussion that we have to have today that has an adult nature. And we're going to talk about it, because those are some of the things, especially us as believers, we shy away from. But in order for us to really deal with who we are as women and men of God, we have to talk about this insecurity thing and what that means to us as adults. Okay. So let's get into this discussion today. And this is a conversation. So I want you to feel free to get in the comments, type me some comments. Let me know what you're thinking about the concepts of the book, and let me know kind of, your idea. So hello, everybody. Thank you all so very much. Hey, Mother Snipes. Hey, Pam Douglas. Hey, Tracy. Thank you all so very much for coming on. It means a lot that you continue to tune in each week. So let's talk about the definition of insecurity. So insecurity simply is the lack of confidence or assurance. When we talk about insecurity, we mean that you lack confidence, or either you're just not sure. You have self-doubt. It also means that you are not highly stable or well adjusted to the concept of who you really are internally. You're not adequately guarded. We talked about being left like that city that's being rioted without the walls. That means you're not guarded. You're not sustained. You're not firmly fastened or fixed on what you're supposed to be doing or your goal or whatever that is that you have your eye on. You're just simply not sure. So today we're going to talk about this whole concept of lacking confidence, lacking assurance, having self-doubt, this insecurity that we all have had at some point in our lives, how to deal with it, where did it come from, and most of all, how to get rid of it. Okay, so let's go on this journey together today. I'm so excited. I hope you all are as well. So as we get into this discussion of the book, the first principle he introduced is that a woman's inferiority or lack of self-esteem is not innate, which means you were not born with it. It is introduced to you through systems in life that are designed to create self-doubt in her. And please forgive my typos. I guess my autocorrect didn't work. But again, you are not born with an inferior complex, okay? When you enter into this world, you are not born to feel inferior. The inferiority complex comes in as you go throughout life and you experience the various systems of the world. And we're going to get into some of those systems and where these things come from as we get into this discussion about your lack of self-confidence and all of those things. And where did this insecurity as women come from? God did not create you a weak, helpless woman. Can we just go ahead and declare that today? He did not create you a weak, helpless woman. Actually, when you were created to dominate. You were a co-ruler in this thing. You were created. Eve was created a co-equal to Adam. You were not created a weak, helpless woman. He did not create you. He did not bring you forth as a feeble individual who was not able to handle the things that were predestined for you to handle. He made you a queen. He made you a ruler. He made you to dominate in this life. But through the systems and the things that we are taught as we go throughout life, women have a tendency to see ourselves as being weaker, being helpless, damsel in distress, being a weak and helpless woman. Those things are learned behaviors. Those are things that are introduced to us as we go throughout time in life. It says, according to the book, being weak and helpless, they're learned behaviors that the world indoctrinates you with. So basically, these are things you learn. So you don't, if you think about kids, most kids are not afraid of very much, but they learn as time goes on to become afraid of things. So in order to deal with what has happened in life, we are taught how to become helpless or how to be weak. We are taught that there are some things you should be afraid of. So as we get into this discussion, you're going to clearly see through the concepts of the book how insecurity entered in your life, and then also how negativity can impact you as you continue on. One thing to remember, though, is that insecurity and royalty cannot coexist. Have you ever seen an insecure queen? I mean, y'all know Queen Elizabeth is my girl. I study her. I watch her. I love her poise. I love her character. I love the way she's always on. She has done some amazing things in the political arena. So when you see Queen Elizabeth, even though she has on her attire, she's got her little hat and her little purse, you do not see insecurity, okay? And some of us wear our insecurity on the outside of us. People can see it. We try to cover it up with makeup. We cover it up with clothing. We cover it up with a false sense of confidence. But truly, some of us are wearing our insecurities on the outside. And insecurity and royalty as a queen or being queen conscious cannot coexist. You cannot be insecure and be a royal queen at the same time. It just does not work. Queens despise personal insecurity and aggressively eliminate it. So as we get into this discussion, we're going to talk about how do you get rid of your personal insecurities, those things that internally you just feel like, I'm not sure that I'm good enough to do this. I'm not sure that this is what God really wants me to do. Me? Why me? And in the book, he talks a lot about the prophet Jeremiah and how Jeremiah was saying, I'm a child. This is not what I know God can't be calling me to do this, but he told him, yes, you are called, you are to go, and don't even look at the people's face. Don't even worry about everybody else. Do what I tell you to do. So in this concept, as we discover today, those insecurities and unearth all those things that have been said to us that have caused us to be insecure, we got to understand if we're going to walk this Queenology out and we're going to be the queen and kings that God has caused us to be, we've got to get rid of the insecurity. Acknowledge that you have it. Just go ahead and say, yes, Cassandra, I got it. There's something in me that feels insecure from time to time. We all have something, but the truth of the matter is that you can get rid of it. And that's today we're going to talk about how to get rid of those levels of insecurity that we have. So just tell me in the comments, can anybody tell me some of the things that exist that breed insecurity in us as adults? Okay. We know, according to the book, there are a few things that he mentioned, but I'm interested to hear if there's anything else that you all can think of outside of these major things that breed insecurity. One of the things he said in the book that breeds insecurity is religion. And we talked last time, in transparency, talked about the organization I grew up in was very strict and blah, blah, and that there were certain things imposed on the women in the congregation that was not necessarily the same standard for the men. So we know that organized religion can cause you to be insecure about who you are, because you know that in order to get to be effective in the organization, there's certain things you just gotta agree to accommodate to. Okay. So we know that religion can breed insecurity. Academia, we know that there are times where women in academia are looked at certain ways as a know-it-all or show off if there are highly intelligent individuals. So we know that even in academics, it can be the academics can help breed insecurity in us because we don't want to be seen as a Miss Know-it-all or we showing off or any of those things. But truth of the matter is, if you're gifted, you're talented, if you're intelligent, God has blessed you with those things, then that's your gift. That's your thing that God has given you to be different. But this society teaches us that those things also would make us insecure when we think about a relationship to other people. Also, politics. Thank you very much for joining. Hey, everybody, for coming on. Hit the share button and get somebody else on with us today. Politics can be another thing that can breed insecurity in a person. As you think about the political party and all the different agendas and who stands for this and who stands for that and the Black culture, the white culture, and all, there's so much involved that can breed insecurity for you not to feel safe in who you are, feel safe being your authentic self. Last week we talked a lot about being our authentic self and knowing who we are. There are a lot of times that even in the political arena, as we see things happening in our world today, it kind of puts a pause with us really being okay with being authentically who we are. And we don't want to be prejudiced. We don't want to live a life that is racist. But there are some things in our culture and politically that will cause you to feel insecure as a person in the United States of America. That's a whole different conversation that we won't get into today, but we know that political things can cause you to be insecure. Also, oral traditions. These are just things that are passed down. Your granddaddy said it, your mom, your great granddaddy said it. You heard it on TV. A woman's place is in the kitchen. The women's place is to be barefoot and pregnant. There are so many oral traditions that are passed down throughout time that will breed insecurity, that if you choose to do something different than what those traditions say, that you become insecure because that's not the norm. That is not what's highly accepted. Those are things that may cause you to breed insecurity within yourself. And here are some things that That some of the comments are saying. People praise you to your face, but around others, the praise no longer exists. What can breed, and we're going to talk about people in a little bit, but Mr. Brenner, you own it. People and the way they act can breed insecurity. So that tells me that I'm truly doing what I need to do. That's right. When people talk about you, to praise you to your face, and then you find out in the background they're not saying the same thing they're saying to your face, a lot of times that's jealousy. Jealousy breeds insecurity. Is there anything else anybody else wants to mention that could breed insecurity? If not, we're going to keep going. And Tracy, I see your comment, but you're giving away some of my tactics, so I'm not going to show that just yet. So as we talk about insecurity, one of the things that breeds insecurity in our life are self-concocted limitations that we place on ourselves. Okay, the author of the book talks about this self-concocted limitation. And what that means is just simply, it's a story or a narrative that you create in your own mind that restricts you from being great. Okay, so you say in your own mind that you see something that he, in the book, he describes this commercial that when he was young, that there was an insect commercial that he saw this gigantic insect, right? And when he was young, he dreamt one night that he saw this big old insect in his room because he saw it on a commercial. His dad came in and it was not there. It was a coat hanging up on the closet, right? So that's the example he used from the book. So this is basically like you see something and in your unconscious self, you accept that thing as truth. And then you start creating a story about why you can't be what you want to be. Okay. And it's negative self-talk is what it ends up being. And it's a strong internal battle. It becomes, Joyce Meyer, I believe, has a book called The Battlefield of the Mind, where it talks about this war that's going on between your thoughts and your inner self. And so a lot of us, we concoct things in our minds that are not actually the narrative of what's really going on. For example, one thing that I hear all the time coming from our precious queens is that I don't even want to go around her because I know she don't even like me. And but I know if I was to ask her that, she's going to say different. Is that really the truth? Or is it really that you have decided somewhere in your mind that the narrative of, because maybe one day she walked past you and didn't speak. She could have had 1,000,001 things on her mind, but she walked past you one day. She did not speak. After that, you took that as a trigger that some people don't like you. And so you begin in this internal battle within yourself about this person. They don't like you. They make sure they don't see you. Then when you go around them, you're not they acting funny. You've already determined in your mind that this person does not like you. All right. So he goes into depth about us coming up with these self-concocted narratives in our mind that we convince ourselves to believe, when the truth of the matter is that we don't know if it's the truth. That's just what we think. We've never tried to verify it, and we have allowed that thing to grow, to fester, and produce insecurity within us around certain people. And this is something that is no one can change this for you. This is behavior that you have accepted as your own. So this is something that you got to determine. Okay. So as we think about this self-concocted, and I see your comments, people have to feel good about their own gifts. That's right. No peak behavior and body language. That was Miss Sabrina. Yes. So sometimes truly people are acting funny. I'm not negating that. There are sometimes truly that people's body language and the way they act towards you is not positive. I agree with that statement. But there are also times that we ourselves, because of how we feel or we've been taught or we've been exposed, have preconceived notions about things that does not match up. And truly people, you have all against folks, or you thinking people don't like you and all these things. And truth of the matter is they haven't even thought about you. They could have had a lot of stuff on their mind. Everybody's going through something. And a lot of times we have a tendency to think that people are being negative towards us, when truth of the matter is we've concocted that. It hasn't been verified. But we've already set in our minds this narrative that keeps us from being the best person that we can because of our own thoughts. Let's move on. Let's talk about the next one. He says in the book that a queen finds solutions while weak women make excuses. Most of the things that we're afraid of exist nowhere but in our own mind. And I'm going to tell y'all something. And this hit home with me because I'm an overthinker. I'm a very analytical person. I can be very detail oriented. And if I don't watch myself, I could get really bogged down in every single little detail being just right. Okay. I realize that about myself. That's one of my areas of opportunity is what I call it. That's one of my areas of opportunity to grow. Is I know that I'm a very over analytical person and I will think about something, every little detail, and I will just whirl that around and around in my head so I feel like I have figured out everything about it. But it's a challenge to me when it comes to my faith. Because if it's something that I can't figure out, and we know God does not give us all the details. Amen. God does not give us all the details. So people like me who are analytical and want to know every single detail when it comes to things of God, we really have to be mindful of that because we will start to come up with our own solutions to some things instead of trusting God. So what is my point in what I'm saying? My point is in this, is that as a queen, you do find solutions. You don't make a lot of excuses for why you don't do certain things. But there also is an element of faith that is required in order to believe God for things that you do not see. So if you are an analytical person like me, you want to know all the details, you just need to go ahead and settle in your mind, lady, that you are not going to know all of the details. There are going to be some things that you simply will just not know. And then we decide to make up in our head the rest of the narrative, right? So if we decide to make up in our head the rest of the story, we don't wait for God. And then we come up with this thing that we're afraid we don't want to move forward because what if this happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? What if that happens? And I don't know this. I can't remember. I haven't seen this yet. And we get into this internal whirlwind when the truth of the matter is what we're afraid of is only in our mind. We have concocted this and then ask God to bless it. But ladies, I know I'm not the only one that overthinks. Okay, I'm not the only one that overthinks. Okay, and we're gonna move on. But I just want us to know that being who you are and your authentic self, it takes faith in order for you to trust God through all of that. And we're going to talk about more about this insecurity and how it can impact you. The fear of the unknown can cause insecurity. That is why having your faith sure and trusting in God's unfailing power is so important. And why is that important? Because of the fear of the unknown. Because there are some things that he will simply challenge you to do that you've never done before. And if you don't have your faith sure and to know that I got to lean and depend on God, I can't figure out every detail. I'm not going to have every detail. But if I know that my faith is sure because he's done it before, he's never failed me yet, and I am trusting in him in order to move forward, then I can make it. But if I have fear of the unknown and I allow that insecurity to keep breeding itself in me over and over, it is going to continue to stunt my growth. And I'm not going to be able to move forward in what God has for me. So as we think about insecurity, a poor self-image ignites insecurity. What is your self-definition? This is something that he challenged us to think about in the book. What is your self-definition of who you are? At the core of who you are, who defined that? Who gave you the definition of who you are? Was it words from your parents? Was it words from other people? Did you learn it from the school system? Did someone come in your life and define who you are? Did you have a mentor? Did you have good parents? Did you not have good parents? Did you have spiritual leaders? Did you not have spiritual leaders? What gave you your self-definition? And remember, as we think about our authentic self and coming into our queen consciousness, this is important to know. Where did you get that point of reference from? Is your self-definition based on your personal revelation of yourself through God's word? And we know there are many definitions of who God thinks we are in his word? Or is it based on adopting opinions of others? So where did you get your self-definition? When you think about yourself, and when I think about Queen Cassandra, the point of reference for me now, thank God, after doing my work, is a picture that God has given me of myself, that I am working each day to become her. But at one time, my self-definition was not that. It was based off of what I felt people thought about me. So I lived according to what I felt people expected from me. So as we think about insecurity, what is it that gave you your self-definition? Her intimate relationship with God is what gave her her definition of who she really is. Absolutely. But I know that many of us don't have that as a testimony yet. And that's part of the reason why we're on this journey, so that we can get to where we understand when we think about who we are and we see that picture of ourselves, that's who gave us our self-definition. Miss Sabrina says God's promise and his scriptures gave her her answer to who she is today. Absolutely. Remember last week we said in order to be on this journey of being queen conscious, you have got to shore your relationship and your faith in God. That is where your true definition of yourself picture should come from. It should come from God. Real queens do not believe in body shaming. You ladies, we getting ready to get into some juiciness with this. Body shaming is where society either indirectly through images and pictures and subliminal messages on commercials and in films and movies and TV stations, they indirectly tell us what they feel like an attractive woman looks like, right? And so then became this concept of body shaming, where we end up seeing where things that what society says are not beautiful. And then the images and the messages start subliminally telling you, you need to be smaller, you need to be bigger, you need more curves, you need less curves, you need skin lightener, you need skin darkener, you need highlights, you need undertones, you need to be darker, you need to be lighter, your hair needs to be bigger, hair needs to be shorter, your hair needs to be longer, and it just goes on, and these images and these messages play in our minds and cause us to eventually end up in a state where we have body shamed our own selves, where we do not trust what God sees when he sees us. A queen must look in the mirror and fall completely in love with what God has given her. And I'm gonna tell you something. There's a friend of mine who I was a victim of body shaming. I've always been a plus size female. Even in high school, I was what they call thick girl. I've always been that. My genetics lend to the hips, the booty, all of that. You know, I've just always had all that. So in my high school years, though, it was in that era, you know, young ladies are very highly impressionable. And so I ended up not really appreciating my true authentic self, even as a teenager, because of the peer pressure in high school to be smaller, right? But eventually I was really smart. I was really intelligent. So I used that as my leverage, that even though people may thought, oh, she a big girl, I was smart, and they always came to me to help do their homework and write papers and all of that. So I found a way to deal with the negativity that came my way because of my size through my intelligence. But the truth of the matter is that I was not accepting of my authentic self as a plus size female. And back then, in those, there weren't a lot of plus size models and things of that nature for me to look at to know how to more beautify myself. And thank God the Lord taught me a lot of things himself, just me experimenting, because there weren't very many people that were my size in high school. So as I got in college and things of that nature, I continued on this journey to learn about how to appreciate being a plus size girl, because genetically, I don't think I'll ever be a size 6. I'm pretty sure I won't. I might look really crazy if I was, but I have to accept that where I am, my goal now is to be healthy, to be wise, to carry it well, and be beautiful in who I am now. But this journey was not easy. And actually a friend of mine recently told me, he was like, well, a lot of guys don't see what y'all see as women. And he even mentioned it in the book. There are a lot of things that are attractive to people of the opposite sex that we think is, we body shame ourselves. Oh, my stomach too big. I got rolls on the side. I got stretch marks, all of those things, but they found them attractive. And he actually described me as, oh, you are well endowed. I thought y'all would get a laugh off that. But in the description, when he said, when I see you, I see a beautiful woman who is just well endowed. You are blessed. And it was one of those things that took me a minute to digest it. But I realized that there are some people who pay for the hips, who pay for the boobs, who pay for these things that God has given me naturally. So truthfully, I had to accept that. You know what, Cassandra? You are just you are that. You are well endowed. And look at some of these comments. I'm so interested to read these. Yes, we must love ourselves. Once I learned that body shaming does not make God happy. Truthfully, he made us how we are for a reason. Amen. That's right. We got to be ourselves and be who we are. Tracy says, when I learned better, I started doing better. Men don't see us as fat, honey. They see us as fine. Okay. So I'm telling you, that well endowed thing was something for me to think about. I did not see it that way, but now I'm embracing my curves and I know how to work it. And I know that truthfully, I can appreciate being well endowed, but that has not always been my testimony. But and as we get into this thing a little bit more, we're getting ready to go a little bit deeper. Okay. A woman, according to the author of the book, that is impacted by body shaming is more susceptible to complying with the sexual demands of a man for the sake of just being accepted, not for her own pleasure. So we know as a Christian, we don't condone sex outside of marriage, but I know that there are lots of people who watch these videos later who don't practice the Christian faith. So I'm going to approach this from an overall standpoint. Okay. So for those of you who are Christians, you know what we believe. Okay. But I'm talking in general sense of a woman and her body and being accepted of who she is. If you have not accepted who you are and who you are in your body, you're comfortable with your shape, your curves, everything God has given you. If you do not get rid of this insecurity with your body, then you are more susceptible to just going along to be sexually used because of acceptance. So the concept of the book says that women who are not secure within themselves, they have a tendency to be more, more vulnerable when it comes to things of sexuality. So, and instead of it being about a pleasurable experience between a man and a woman, women who have shamed themselves or not proud of their bodies tend to not even be vocal as far as what satisfies them in that situation. So you get a woman who has never been sexually pleased, even though she has been sexually active a long time, but has never experienced that because she's afraid that if she tells a man what she really likes, what she doesn't like, what she's comfortable with, what she's not comfortable with, then she won't be accepted. So the concept of this book is talking about that if we don't accept ourselves as we are, then we are more susceptible to what can be brought onto us sexually than what needs to be. And I'm looking at some of these comments, y'all. Thank y'all so very much. Y'all are the sweetest. I love y'all. Thank y'all so very much. Thank y'all so very much. We blessed and highly favored. That's right. And she, exploited because you don't see yourself like the queen you are. Exploited is a perfect word, Tracy, because truthfully, what happens when you have not accepted who you are, then you will fall for a lot of things sexually that you should not. And so one of the questions he asked in the book are, how comfortable are you in your own sexuality to understand the power of a sexual encounter? And I'm talking more so to our single women who have been sexually active at some point in your life. And when you don't have that person who's committed to you, that you are in relationship with, in marriage or all those things, then Truth of the matter is, you still have the desires. It does not go away. Some of us pray, Lord, take away my sex drive. I don't want to feel nothing. That wasn't my testimony, because I have hopes of being married again. I don't want my sex drive completely gone. But what I do want is to make sure that it's maintained, that it is under control, and that I have given myself the opportunity to make sure that I am disciplined in that area of sexuality. So how comfortable are you when we're talking about insecurities and we get in there, we build it up? Are you in your own sexuality to understand the power of a sexual encounter? Or are you just looking at, I want to feel loved? And let me tell you something, ladies. Love and sex are not equal when it comes to men and women. Men, it has been proven that men can have multiple sexual encounters and have no emotional attachment. Okay. So having sex with a man does not equal that he loves you, he cares about you, he want to be with you. None of that. Okay. So let's get that in our heads, queens, that surrendering to the sexual demands of a man does not mean that he loves you. But on the woman's side of the equation, you are giving away your treasure within. And every time that you give away yourself in that aspect with no attachment, no commitment, then you are low grading or downplaying yourself. And I know a lot of women that talk to me about, I just need to get my rocks off. But truthfully, most women don't want to just get your rocks off. You want a return feeling of enjoyment, of pleasure, of love, of emotional attachment, that the same thing you want is what you want to get that back. So it's a lie to tell yourself that you could enter into these entanglements and not expect anything in return, because you're not wired that way. That is not the way God created you. That is something that we have settled for because we want to be accepted. We want to be loved. We want to feel wanted. Those are things that we've settled for. But truth of the matter is, that's not the original intent. And so we fall for entanglements, and we end up in booty calls. We end up hooking up. We end up compromising ourselves in these situations. And now the new thing is, it's a situation. It's complicated. Well, truth of the matter is that you've probably given more than he has ever wanted. And so now you're categorizing it as complicated, or that it's a situationship. It's an entanglement, which is really just a fancy word for we hooked up and I wanted more than he did. And so now we're not in a relationship, but we got a soul tie. We enjoy sleeping together, but it's not really fulfilling. But I keep doing it because I want the attention and want to be accepted. That's really what that is. Okay. So these entanglements will kill you. That's right. They will. If you don't get a hold and become more disciplined in your sexual life, they will kill you. Literally. Sleeping with a man without commitment breeds even more insecurity. So if you think you're insecure now, if you keep on in this reckless behavior that is not queenly-like, and I'm not telling you something that I haven't been a victim of myself, but it didn't last very long with me, because I found out real quick that I don't like that. That is not for me. I like commitment. I like relationship. I like marriage. So that doesn't work for me. But you got to figure out where you are in your journey. And sleeping with a man without commitment breeds even more insecurity, ladies. So here's my recommendation. And this is from the book of Cassandra. It has nothing to do with the Bible or anything else. But this is just Queenology 101 from a queen that has been there and done that. Okay. You must pre-plan your response to sexual urges. So if you know that it's not dead, it's not gone, the fire is not out, then you have to pre-plan. This is part of the strategy of getting rid of insecurities that make you do things that are unqueenly. You need to pre-plan for those sexual urges. So you need to decide, okay, when I feel it coming on, what am I going to do? And you decide what you're going to do. If you put yourself in compromising situations, though, when you already know that you hot and bothered, you're going to end up in an entanglement again. So I'm encouraging you to pre-plan your response to your sexual urges. I read some literature as I was thinking about this, and he brought it up in the book. I read some literature about women and their need for affection. And the author said, y'all tell me if y'all agree with this, but the author said that a lot of women mistake the feeling of affection for personal touch. So if you live alone, you don't have anyone, a lot of times you mistake the urge for personal touch as wanting to be sexual. So what he encouraged you to do is go have a massage. And we know with the pandemic that some places are not, but massage parlors are starting to open back up. And I personally do love massages because I have issues with my shoulders and my back. So massages unlock all the tension from the breast and everything, and you just feel great. So he encouraged that if you feel that happening, then maybe one of your responses should be to get a massage. And that'll keep you out of an entanglement. You will have the touch of a professional, and that you will leave being relaxed and calm. Your mind will be at a better place. Your muscles will feel great. You will feel euphoric, and then you won't have the soul tie that will have come from an entanglement. Okay. Now, we all know that I'm a Christian believer, and I'm not endorsing this. Let me just give my disclaimer. I'm giving you information. Okay. The other piece of information that I want to give you has to do with masturbation. So we know that there is a controversy with Christian belief, whether or not masturbation is acceptable, not acceptable. We talk about getting rid of insecurities. And we know that because we're insecure, we do things sexually that are not the right thing to do. And we're talking about, how do you respond to those sexual urges? Do you get in an entanglement because you can't keep it under control, or this is your response? Another piece of information had to do with masturbation. Is it better to just take the edge off yourself? Ayana Van Zant said every woman should have a Bob, which is a battery operated boyfriend. Now, that's just information that I'm giving to y'all because y'all know we talk real over here. I'm just saying, is it true that it is, do you got to come up with your own plan? But there is a thing, an information out there says that if you have a battery operated boyfriend, that you can use yourself, that you are less likely to be insecure in your body, and you are less likely to get involved in inappropriate sexual relationships because of you having pleasure, but it's not attached to anybody. It's the safest sex in the world, supposedly. You can sanitize and put it in the drawer for the next time. Okay, so that is some other things. There's a such thing as a maintenance man, but as a queen, we should not have a maintenance man. Okay, because the maintenance man, all he does is come through, plug up things that are messed up for a moment, and then he go on to the next job. Okay, but we don't want maintenance men. As queens, we deserve kings. We are living a life that is highly disciplined, and we don't do maintenance men. All right, but there are some men, y'all, that are perfectly comfortable with being maintenance men. Tracy, you giving some good advice on this screen. She said orgasms are healthy but frowned upon. Absolutely. And again, y'all, I'm giving y'all information. Don't go and say this preacher told y'all masturbation is good. I didn't say that. I'm coming to you from a sister, a fellow queen, who is just giving you information so that you can pre-plan your response to your sexual urges, because we know that insecurity causes us to do things sexually that we normally probably would make the decision to do if we had a plan. Okay, so let's move on. Fear of the opinions of others breeds insecurity. Why be so intimidated by people when God is your strength? So in the book, he talks about Jeremiah and how Jeremiah, I see you, Tracy, how Jeremiah basically was afraid. And he said, don't look at the faces of the people. Don't worry about what they're going to say, because truth of the matter is, I'm your strength. I've given you power. I got your back. But we know that a lot of times we are afraid of what people going to say if I do this, what people going to say if I do that. And it breeds just insecurity over us over and over. But if people's opinion matter too much, you give others control over your destiny. They are the ones making the decisions for your life instead of you yourself. It brings on a spirit of self-defeat. You know why? Because you don't have confidence in your own self anymore. You always got to ask somebody what they think about it. I know somebody that never picks their own clothes. Before they decide what they're going to wear, they always got to ask somebody else, what do you think about this, girl? Does this look right? What, and really what's happening is that person is vicariously living their life through them because they're not making their own choices. But you're allowing someone else's opinion to tell you how you should even dress. That is insecurity at its finest. And we are working today to get rid of that insecurity. And we get ready to go through how do you get rid of that insecurity? All right. So how does a queen attack insecurity? Okay. Step number 1 is insecurity must be forced out. You got to come out of the internal tornado. That whole world span of you internally feeling like people are against you, that you don't know if people like you, or I don't think I'm smart enough. I don't think I'm pretty enough. I'm not small enough. I'm not big enough. I'm not outspoken. I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert. All of these things, you got to come out of that. And the first step, it's not going to just happen. You got to make a decision. I am coming out of insecurity. I don't want to be insecure anymore. Is the first thing that you have to do. You've got to decide, I'm not going to be insecure anymore. That's just a simple statement you got to make to yourself. I am not going to be insecure anymore. Anybody else believe that? I am not going to be insecure anymore. It says one of the most deceptive forms of insecurity and negativity is unwillingness to forgive. And we're getting ready to get into the next step of that. So as we think about insecurity, first of all, you got to say, I don't want to be insecure anymore. I've decided, I know I got some things in me that feel insecure around certain people or certain things. I want to get rid of this. So first thing I'm going to do is say, I don't want to be that way anymore. Step number 2, according to the book, is that you must uproot unforgiveness. And unforgiveness is the unwillingness to trust again for fear of disappointment or re-injury. Oh my God. And this is one thing that I struggle with in the last year or so, but I thank God that I'm opening up myself, and I'm happy to say that I am doing better. So in this, and unforgiveness, I forgave other people, but forgiving myself was a hard thing for me to do. I used to beat myself up like, wow, how did I make such a awful decision especially when it came to my previous marriages? I was like, how did I mess up twice? Like, what happened in me that I didn't think about what I was getting myself into? A lot of it was my loneliness. Part of it was my daddy issues I never addressed. There were so many things that I just beat myself up. And finally, I had to come to a realization that I've forgiven other people for my sake, but I never took the time to sit and just tell myself that I forgave myself. I fell for the lies. I fell for the deceit. I didn't ask enough questions. I was seeing life through rosy-colored glasses, thinking certainly if I had the right intention, then they also had the right intention. But truth of the matter is, I never forgave, myself. I never forgave myself. I never stopped long enough to say, Cassandra, you know what? It's okay. Yes, it was bad. Yes, you were a little embarrassed. Yes, you didn't expect it to go that way. Yes, you should have asked more questions. Yes, you should have dug a little bit deeper. But you know what? It's okay. And I lived for a while in this unwillingness to trust any other relationship, friendships, relationships, any of that, for fear of disappointment. I don't want to be let down again. I don't want to be hurt again. You know what? Let me put up these walls. Let me put myself behind this fortress that I built for myself of solitude, and just be, you do ministry and just do things for other people. But I'm never going to really address my own personal thing. But I told you, this Queenology is a personal journey that we are on. And the reason I can teach this is because I have been through these stages myself. So I can tell you that root of unforgiveness, it may not be against other people. Most of the time, it is against ourselves. We have not forgiven ourselves for making decisions that did not go well, for being in situations that did not turn out well, for allowing people to be close to us that we should not have. We have not forgiven ourselves for that. So we live behind these walls of not wanting to be disappointed again or re-injured, as the definition said. And it all leads back to self-unforgiveness. So have you taken time to forgive yourself? Have you decided, I don't want to be insecure anymore? Step number 1. Number 2, have I forgiven myself? Have I said to myself, it is okay that this did not work out well. Get over it. And sometimes it's hard to hear people tell you to get over it. You have to decide when it's okay for you to get over it. It's been 3.5 years for me now since my marriage that only lasted a year, and it was a hot mess the whole year. Okay. It ended. And I have taken the last 3.5 years to finally get to the point where I forgave myself, where I am okay with saying, you know what, I can do this again. I can try again. I can at least try to date again. I can at least see if there's anybody out there. And I haven't looked, but opportunity is presenting itself with some pretty good candidates. But it's because I finally decided that I forgave myself, and I was not going to hold myself hostage anymore to those 2 bad marriages. My mother says they weren't even marriages. I was really just taking care of 2 people. So it depends on how you look at it. But have you said, it's okay, I'm forgiving you, Cassandra, of the thing that you did that you felt like turned out so horribly wrong? I had to look myself in the mirror, and I'm encouraging you all to do this. Get in the mirror. And some of us have a hard time just looking ourselves eye to eye in the mirror. We put on makeup, we do our hair, we do all kind of stuff, but we don't take time to just look at yourself in the mirror. I'm encouraging you to look yourself in the mirror and say, you know what? Whatever your name, say Sabrina, say Tracy, say Pam, say Miss Annie, say Tracy. You know what, girl? I forgive you. You thought that it was going to be something different, and it turned out a whole different mess. But guess what? You're still here. God has kept you. You didn't lose your mind. You have rebounded financially. The things that you lost, He gave back to you in abundance. And guess what? You are perfectly fine. You are free to move on. That self-forgiveness is an empowering thing that you have to do in order to release your insecurities. Because if you don't, you will continue to live as petty Betty. Okay, y'all see our guy, get rid of petty Betty. And a lot of us, we are quick to find fault and be petty. You know why? Because we're unhappy internally. So we find stuff wrong with everybody else's life, because we are petty Betty, because we haven't faced our own. And it's easier to point the finger and see what's wrong with other people. But we don't look eye to eye at that lady in the mirror and say, what's that insecurity that you see? Why don't you like that about yourself? Why is it that you shy away when things could be better? Why is it that you lose opportunities because you feel a certain way around certain people? What is that thing? And then stop using it as an excuse to be bitter, because you can do better. You can be better. Yes, you can love again. Yes, you can date again. Yes, you could be good again. Yes, you can be fine. Yes, you could trust again. Yes, you could try it again. But not as long as you're holding yourself hostage and you're insecure. We got to do the work. Number 3 in the process is we must wash our brains. And it says unlearning the lies and negative things that report into yourself. Some of us have a lot of word scars from parents or people that were responsible for us, even as children, that we are still carrying around today. You've got to figure out what was the lie that was told. Maybe the lie was that you're not pretty. Maybe the lie was you're not going to ever be anything. You're going to be just like your mama, your daddy, whatever that is that was said to you. You have to unlearn it, which means you got to tell yourself something different. You must retrain your thinking and renew your mind with the truth. You know, the Bible tells us that we should renew our minds on a daily basis, that he gives us brand new grace every single morning. So this is part of what we have to do. Is we got to wash our brain. You know, there's a negative connotation out there about brainwashing, which means people telling you stuff and making you believe stuff that ain't true. But in this sense, what we're talking about is literally allowing the water of the Spirit to reprogram your mind into what God has for you. To that, get those scriptures. And I'm gonna tell you something, and even though I'm not preaching to y'all, this is a book club discussion, but what I'm saying to you is get something inspirational. Get the Bible. I love the Bible. It's a perfect reference for me. So I go through the Bible and find all the things, great things that he says about me, and then those become my affirmations to say that, you know what, girl, you priceless. You worth you rise up early in the morning and then you take care of business. Your family calls you blessed. Your price is far above rubies. There are a lot of things that he says about you in the Bible, but you got to renounce those things that have been spoken over you because they were lies. They were not the truth. And they came to kill your self-esteem, to make you insecure, and it came to prevent you from moving into what God has for you. He said in the book that queens practice infectious positivity. What are you really saying? And this is something that, people, always pick at me because I'm always, especially at work, like super positive, especially early in the morning. Like they said, good morning. I'd be like, good morning. It's marvelous Monday. It's a great day. How are you doing? And most of the time they like, thanks. but they start saying it after me. They be like, oh, it's marvelous Monday today, isn't it? Yes, it is marvelous Monday. It's terrific Tuesday. It is wonderful Wednesday. It's thankful Thursday. I have so much to be thankful for. It's fabulous, fantastic Friday. I can't believe today is such a great day. And the more you practice that, you will find yourself believing what you're saying. But as long as you say, I'm making it. I hate when people, you ask somebody how they doing. I'm doing. Well, really, how are you doing? Are you doing good? You're doing bad? You're not feeling good? Be authentically yourself. But at the same time, if you're going to take this journey as a queen, you got to understand, I can't afford to stay where I'm at emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. I have to grow. And one area that I can grow in is my speech and what I'm saying. Am I a complainer? Am I the one that's quick to be negative? Is that me? And that is your insecurity that's talking. When you are quick to be negative and say, you know what? All men dogs, everybody ain't nobody trying to do right. I don't know what's wrong with, some of us get into that and we are quick to be negative. But what are you really saying? Practice being infectiously positive. Okay. Just try it this week. I just gave y'all the acronym for every day of the week. You should get up tomorrow and say, Lord, I thank you. Today is a marvelous Monday. And try to tell somebody it's a marvelous Monday at least 3 times tomorrow. This is something practical that you can try to become infectiously positive. Tuesday, I thank God. Today is terrific Tuesday. Something great is going to happen today. Even though things may happen that I can't control, I'm going to keep myself in a terrific mood today. Today is wonderful Wednesday. And you know what? I am beautifully and wonderfully made. It is wonderful Wednesday. I'm going to be cute. I'm going to look cute. I'm going to feel cute. I'm going to do cute. I'm going to be that today because it's wonderful Wednesday. Today is Thankful Thursday. God, I just thank you that you made me who you are. You have called me a prophetess to the nations. You have given me the strength to maintain. You have allowed me to grow. I am no longer bitter, but I'm better. I'm thankful, God, that I can be a queen in my own right, that I don't have to feel intimidated by anybody else. I'm thankful to God that you made me a well-endowed woman. I have curves. I am substantial in what you've given me. Those are the things that you say. And today, God, it's Fantastic Friday. You know what? You have blessed me, God, to make it 5 days in this week full of love and grace. God, I thank you that you gave me Fantastic Friday, that I might even get paid today. Lord, thank you for the money. Thank you for being my resource. Thank you for the power to do what you call me to do. You see how positive that is? You got to practice it. You can do it. Being positive daily, being infectiously positive is what I want you to practice this week. Forgiveness is choosing to leave every offender in the hands of God. I love this quote from the book. He says forgiveness is simply choosing to leave every offender, every person that has done you wrong. God's seen it. He heard it. He understands. He knew it happened, but he has got a plan. And you got to leave those people that did you wrong in the hands of God. The Bible tells you that vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. He's going to fix it. I promise you that it's coming back. You know, the world has this thing called karma. It will come back. You will reap what you sow. And if someone has done you wrong, they have offended you, and that offense has caused you to be insecure, one way to get rid of that insecurity and negativity you feel is to leave them in the hands of God. And say, you know what? I'm not going to carry this around anymore. As of today, I am leaving this person in the hands of God. Lord, you take it. You saw it. You heard it. You were there. You know what went on. It was wrong. They didn't do right. But as of today, I am leaving the results of what they did in your hands. God, I trust you, and I know that you will vindicate me. And when you leave that in the hands of God, it leaves you free to move on. But a lot of us allow the vehicle of unforgiveness, this is a good quote, to transport the ones who hurt us right on with us into our destiny. You carrying that same person that hurt you. And most of the time, those people are going on about their way. They going on to hurt the next person, because we know that hurt people hurt people. And we allow that unforgiveness and harboring that in us to keep carrying them on with us to the next point of our destination. They're going right with you. They don't even deserve to be on the train with you. But because of unforgiveness, they are going right along with us to the next destination. And that's not what God has for us. They don't deserve to go there. They don't deserve to be on this journey with you. But because we won't forgive them and release them into the hands of the Lord, we carrying them right on to our next point in our destiny. And they don't even deserve to be there. So one thing to think about, there are a couple of questions this week as we get ready to end this. And thank you all so much for hanging in there. A couple of questions this week that the author proposes for you to think on as you think about getting rid of the insecurity and negativity in your life is to think about, were you ever really trained to believe in yourself? Were you ever really taught what it meant to believe in yourself? Or were you trained to not believe in yourself, to not trust your decisions, to not believe that you are the best at what you do? Were you ever really trained to believe in yourself? He also proposes that you take some time to think about, have you ever privately avoided certain opportunities or people because you felt intimidated or unprepared? That is another way to know if you have some insecurities, is sometimes you'd be like, you see somebody, you don't want them to see you because it forces you out of your comfort zone. So you go in the other direction, and it's not even anything bad, but you just decide, I don't want to talk to them. Or it's something in you that makes you feel like, I'm not going to know the right thing to say. I'm not going to be ready for what they're going to ask me. I don't feel like I'm important enough. All those things. If you're dealing with that, that's some insecurity. And you've got to go back and go through those 3 steps in order to rid yourself of that. Lastly, this is something I want to say to us as queens. No more social media rants. We get on social media and go off and expose all of our insecurities on social media. If a man decides he want to be with somebody else, guess what? Let him be with him, because most of the time he a mess anyway. Because if he was dating more than you, then you don't really want him anyway, because he don't know how to be faithful. Let's not keep getting on social media, going off, showing our insecurities to the world. And these body challenges. I think my butt getting big. That's not queenly. What is it that we have downgraded ourselves to do this instead of being the queens God has called us to do, to be, to live as? No more social media. No more social media rants. Let's just get rid of it. Everything ain't for us. As the queens don't do everything. Everything that come out, everything that's popular, all this stuff on TikTok, a lot of this just ain't for you. And it's okay for it not to be for you, to keep your integrity. Yes, Sabrina says, no, I was not trained. The women in my family were always bitter and negative, but she changed her mindset to be positive. Absolutely. It's a good choice. Tracy says, being positive daily has opened up doors out of this world for her. Yes, it's positive. So, ladies, thank you for your comments. Thank you. Tracy says, no more social media rants. That's right. Let's not do that anymore. It's a decision, because what you're doing is showing your insecurities. And it's not pretty. It's not queenly, and it's not the way that God has called you to be. So let's end this with the Queen's Decree. So this week, if you want to go back and listen to the Queen's Decree, it's at 1 hour and 11 minutes and 10 seconds. Okay. 1 hour, 11 minutes. Ooh, we've been on here over an hour. Thank y'all for hanging in there. We're almost done. So y'all know I always put the decree together with the new topic for the week. So this week, we are adding in getting rid of insecurity and negativity. And here's the Queen's Decree. It says, I decree in the name of the Lord Jesus that I am everything God created me to be. I am slowly but surely purging my mind of every lie that has drained me of my self-esteem. I am eliminating every relationship that robs me of my queen consciousness. I am learning from my mistakes, and I have conquered my pain. I'm a queen, and I'm learning to reign. I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I have no cause to walk in any state of emotional chaos. I am a queen of the highest order, and all of heaven's angels are prepared to do my bidding. I am no longer emotionally vulnerable. I am a queen, and I can only be equaled by a king. I am wise because I discern all matters with my spirit, and I've learned to analyze with my intellect. I am never deceived by my emotions. Instead, I honor and I minister to the ordained people in my life. I will never have a need to wander. Together, we will walk in dominion as king and queen. I'm financially free as a woman. I have more than enough because I live a disciplined lifestyle. I live below my means, and I am always in abundance. I am unmoved by the cares of this world. I live for freedom and the legacy of my family. I am wealthy beyond measure. I'm a woman of purpose. I live my life on the incline because I am on top and I'm going even higher. I will never waste my life in pettiness or useless relationships. I will allow no person to rob me of the gift of greatness that God has endowed me with. I will maximize my potential and actualize my greatness. The world will see all that is within me before I die, and my life will leave a legacy to the queens to come. I am a queen. I have no time or space for anything that is not royal and not righteous. I am above pettiness, and I never tolerate personal insecurity. I am in dominion, and never will I be controlled by my fears or my doubts. I overcome, and I am never overcome. I will always represent the epitome of excellence, and in confidence I shall be. I am a queen. God, I thank you for all your many blessings. I thank you for each person that's been on here today. I ask that as you help us, Father, to embrace the person we see in the mirror, that you will help us to attack those insecurities, those things that are in our life that have been told to us, that have been ingrained in us, that are a lie, that are contradictory to what your word says about us. Father, help those of us that have gotten involved in entanglements and not sure what to do. God, help us, Father, to release ourselves from those those people. Cut every relationship that does not empower us, that is not a part of our destiny. And God, allow us, Father, to release those individuals into your hands. Father, every person that's dealing with a situation where a person has done them wrong, I ask that you would allow this word to minister to them today, to know that you will vindicate them, that you will make it all right. But in order to move forward, we must release them into your hands so that you can do your work. Now, lastly, God, we pray, Father, for those that were never told how to believe in themselves. God, give us the self-confidence that we need, knowing that as we look to you, you are the author and finisher of our faith, and you will show us our value. You will show us your grace. You will show us the things that you've already given us internally. Lord, help us to come out of our own emotional chaos, God. Help us to come out of our own heads, that with the internal tornado that we put ourselves in our insecurities. But help us, God, to grow and to rest assured in our faith in you, knowing that you will see us through. You made us. You gave us our DNA. You gave us our fingerprints. Father, help us to understand how truly valuable we are in your eyes so that we can see our value in our own eyes. Help us to see ourselves the way you see us. God, we give your name praise. Thank you for this journey of Queenology. Thank you for the things to come. Thank you for the open doors. Thank you for everything you're doing in our lives. We dare not take it for granted, but we say thank you and we give you praise. We give you honor and glory in Jesus' name. Amen. Have an awesome week. Remember, tomorrow is Marvelous Monday. All right, we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Bye-bye.